I'll quickly introduce myself. So my name is Matt, and I'm one of the operations managers at Naturetrek and have been for approaching 4 years now. I manage a wide range of tours from Southeast Asia to the Middle East, North Africa, North America, but also a lot of tours here in the UK. Back in 2020, I was actually sent on a recce trip to Nepal. So I now manage this tour as part of my portfolio. So I'll be able to describe all the accommodations and the holiday type for you this evening. And talking about the holiday type, I'm mainly going to be talking about our tiger tour to Nepal. That's the tigers of Chitwan and Bardia National Park. So the other holidays we currently operate to Nepal, so the Tiger Tour, but we also have a wildlife adventure, and we actually have a tour out there at the moment. Now, this is a fantastic 23-day holiday, so quite a chunky tour, but it takes in trekking, whitewater rafting, tiger watching, and bird watching as well. So it's a fantastic all-round tour that encompasses many aspects of natural history, but also these wonderful activities that is very unique, I say, very unlike the standard Naturetrek tour. So a fantastic way to explore this beautiful country. We also have a bird watching tour that's 10 or 11 days, and that takes in mainly the eastern section of the country, and also into Chitwan National Park. And we have a new tour launched for next year in May, and this is a trekking tour to the Annapurna Sanctuary, and it's mainly focuses on the birds and the wildflowers. So we have a fantastic local bird watching guide with us. And then we have David Tattersfield, who I'm sure most of you know, who will be on the wildflowers for you. So it's a fantastic tour, and we're very much looking forward to getting this trekking holiday up and running next year. Okay, but for the purpose of this evening, will be talking about our Tiger Tour. And with a slight bit of a twist as well, because I'm just going to mention a couple of the extensions that one can have either side of the main holiday. So I'm going to start with a potential pre-tour extension to Suklaphanta National Park. So that's in the far southwest corner of the country. Now, this is a fantastic national park, and it has one of the rarest habitats in Nepal and almost in the world now, and that is a natural grassland. And this is the reason why the national park has an abundance of critically endangered birds, but it's also fantastic for mammals as well. So if you're a keen nature enthusiast, it's really well worth putting this extension at the beginning of your holiday, and it's only for 2 or 3 nights. So we fly you into Kathmandu, and then we fly you to the southwest of the country, and it's 2 nights at a wonderful tented accommodation, and then you can explore the park. So here is the tented accommodation. Yes, it's not luxury, but it's extremely well positioned. You are right by the entrance gate to the national park, so it really is a fantastic time. You don't have to go long distance driving to get to the reserve. You're pretty much at the front gate, so that's brilliant. And pretty much like anywhere in Nepal, I'll probably touch on this later, you'll almost find yourselves to be the only people in this park. So Nepal is just still remote. It doesn't attract the number of tourists that neighboring countries do. So when you're here, you will almost certainly be on your own, of course, escorted by a naturalist guide and driver. And this is how we navigate around the park. A typical standard Jeep, like any Jeep safari on the subcontinent, and we get to explore the woodland and the natural grasslands. And there are many wide open areas in Suklaphanta, so it's a great way to observe and scan for the mammals, for the birds, and also the tiger. So a few of the birds that we can see here: greater slaty woodpecker, one of the largest woodpeckers in Asia and Europe, etc., is a target bird. It's relatively frequently seen around the lush forest there, and this is one of the critically endangered birds and least known birds that winters on the reserve. This is a Hodgson's bush chat. Pretty much like a stone chat, but it's much larger than the white throat there. But this gives an idea of just how this reserve attracts these endangered birds. And the picture I showed you just now, the Bengal florican. Again, this is probably one of the best places in Nepal, and perhaps Asia, to see Bengal florican. So if these birds are high on your list, it's well worth getting out there. And of course, where I'm in this national park, it's not bad to see tiger. It's not brilliant, but we had a group go out there this year. A couple did the pre-tour extension to Suklaphanta, and they managed to score this fantastic view of a tiger. So there's the population in Suklaphanta is still very low with the tigers. In double digits, unlike the rest of Nepal, and I will touch on that later. But it's a fantastic place to explore. It's the challenge of finding a tiger, and all the other mammals as well. Indian one-horned rhino have been located in the park. It's very good for swamp deer, which is of course the prey item. So, and that's what it is about in Nepal when you're searching for tigers. It's not like India where you're almost guaranteed to see a tiger. In Nepal, it's much more of a challenge, but you're looking for the signs, you're listening out for the prey items to try and locate these amazing predators. And if you're lucky, you could get a view like that. And it's not just tigers here as well. Leopards also roam the park, still in very small numbers. So you do have to be lucky, which I think this client was, scoring a tiger and a leopard. But there we go. It could well happen to you. Okay, so that's just briefly touching on the pre-tour extension there. So this is the main holiday, Tigers of Chitwan and Bardia, but we usually go to Bardia first and then transport it along to Chitwan before flying back to Kathmandu. So it's a one-stop flight from London to Kathmandu, usually with Qatar Airways, with landing in the afternoon the next day from departure. Then we overnight in Kathmandu at a very plush hotel. You will be very impressed, I promise, before we fly you down to the national park. So it's usually Bardia first, and there's wonderful accommodation situated just outside of the national park gates. Then we have 3 nights there. Then we drive along to Chitwan. The drive is roughly 7 or 8 hours, depending on traffic, local road conditions, etc. So you may have to take that with a pinch of salt. And then we spend 3 or 4 nights in Chitwan before flying back up to Kathmandu and flying home. So that's pretty much the tour in essence. And so Chitwan and Bardia National Park. So Chitwan is the largest national park in Nepal, but we also like to go to Bardia as well. And that's because at Chitwan, although it is exceptional and holds the greatest abundance of Bengal tigers in the country, they are slightly tricky to find. And that is because the understory at Chitwan is quite dense, whereas at Bardia, the understory is rather sparse. So you can see them roaming more so at Bardia, but with the greater abundance at Chitwan, you stand also a relatively good chance of finding a tiger. So the swings and roundabouts, but as we're going to both, there's a good chance we can score both. And there's some one-horned rhinos just along the river there. So at Chitwan National Park, this is just a lovely scenic view, mist coming off the river there. And to access Chitwan National Park, we have to cross the river. So we stay at accommodation very close by, which I'll run through very shortly. And we get a boat onto the main reserve, then we're in our jeeps and we do a typical jeep safari. And this is morning and afternoon. During the day, you get to relax, of course, at the wonderful accommodation we use, which is here. So this is one of the accommodations at Chitwan called Tiger Tops. There we go. Have to see a tiger now. And you can relax around the pool as well. So very nice grounds for wildlife, great for birds. And just down by the river, there's plenty of mugger crocodiles, and you might even be lucky to see a gharial as well. So here's the inside of the accommodation, a view from the balcony on the right, lovely beds on the left, and more accommodation there for you. So it's wonderful accommodation. It's very comfortable, all en suite, so you'll feel right at home, I'm sure. So some of the birds that we can see in these parks. So this is a black-throated sunbird, one of 3 sunbird species that you can see in Nepal. The others are in the mountains. The beautiful and cartoon character-like long-tailed broadbill, an absolute stunning bird that can be seen all across Asia, but elusive at the same time, despite all those wonderful colours that come through. And red-headed trogon as well, another fantastic bird, very shy, elusive in the forest mid-canopy. Whilst along the river, a very good chance of seeing this very attractive bird. This is the small pratincoll, beautiful bird there. Also, along the river, you get the river lapwing, very attractive. But of course, it's also very good for hornbills. Of course, it is in Asia. And this is the largest of them all, the great hornbill. And these are seen with relative ease at both parks, Chitwan and Bardia. And they have this huge casque. You normally hear them before you see them, and you're actually listening out for their wing beats because they're so deep, such a depth to those wings. The air whooshes across the park, and usually they land nearby and hear them crashing into the trees. It really is a spectacular sight, and wonderful to listen to as well. So just quickly moving on to the mammals. So this is a nilgau, or a blue bull, as they call it locally. And this is, in fact, the largest antelope in Asia. So it's a real treat to see this beast of an antelope. And we can also get exceptionally good views. This is my photo of one-horned rhinos. So the joy of this tour is that we get to search for the wildlife by jeep, by foot, and also by boat. So this is actually taken by foot, and it's just great. It means you're not stuck in the jeep all the time. You're with armed guards just in case a tiger wanders by, but very rarely happens, or if at all. And it's just wonderful. You can immerse yourself in the local area. It really is a fantastic place. So I'd say the commonest crocodilian in Nepal, the mugger crocodile, almost certainly see those dusting about the riverbanks, nice and easy. But one we do really hope to see is the gharial. And it's thought that there's only around 200 individuals left in Nepal. But at Chitwan, you do stand a relatively good chance of locating one. And they are absolutely fabulous when you do see them. Completely bizarre looking, especially at the front end, not so much at the rear. And the views can be exceptional as well, and sometimes viewed from the accommodation as well. So the gharial, that's certainly one that we hope to see when we're out and about on foot or by boat. And of course, the mammal that we all want to see, the big cats. This is obviously a tiger, and if you can see at the bottom there, this was actually taken by a client around Christmas time last year, John Kennedy, and this was taken at Bardia National Park. So an absolute fantastic view of a tiger. So it proves you don't have to go to India if you want to see a tiger up close. You can also go to Nepal. And as I said earlier, it really is the challenge of locating a tiger, and it's highly rewarding as well. You spend a lot of time tracking the animals. There's always footprints along the tracks such as this one, but when you finally clock eyes onto one, it really is an amazing experience. And just rewards as well. So just briefly on the tiger. So the photo on the left is my tiger. And whilst I'm talking briefly, try and guess how many are in that photo. So the tiger population in Nepal is increasing exponentially, and it has done ever since the turn of the last decade. So 2010, there were thought to be 121 tigers in Nepal. Now it's a whopping 355, or say that was last year, so it's almost certainly increased this year, and that is quite amazing. It's all down to the wonderful conservation efforts by local rangers, and it was a bit of a concern during the COVID years just how the tiger population would continue without the monitoring of the local rangers, because minor poaching does still occur from time to time, but it proves that the local rangers are still able to get out. The tiger numbers are still increasing, which is absolutely fantastic. We're so used to bad news from around the world, especially from tigers in the far east of Asia. But thankfully in Nepal and also in India, so the tiger population is going through the roof, which is brilliant. And if you haven't guessed how many tigers are in that photo, it's 4. And if you don't believe me, I can only apologize. Okay, and there's another photo. So this was my photo taken a few years ago at Chitwan National Park, and it was taken on foot. So we were driving around in the late afternoon, and we heard the female calling for her cubs. So we quickly repositioned ourselves and walked out to this dry riverbank, and lo and behold, on the bank stood a couple of cubs, and then eventually the female came out, and then another cub as well. So 4 tigers altogether, and that was a rather unprecedented sighting indeed. And here's another lovely photo taken by client John Kennedy at Christmas time last year at Bardia. Wonderful animal, and I hope you can join us. So we have a tour going in March, still a few spaces left on that one, so it's not too late to join our March departure to go in search of the tiger. But if not, we do have tours in October or March, so we run them twice a year. Okay, so now I'm just going to briefly touch on a potential post-tour extension if you wanted to. So, and this is at Pokhara, so in the northwest of the country, but not quite. It's not that far up, but it overlooks the wonderful Annapurna range. So that gives you an idea of where it is. So this is situated on top of Tiger Mountain. Sadly, there are no tigers in this area, so not named truly correctly, but there we go. But it is a wonderful location if you just want to relax and unwind at the end of a rather action-packed holiday. So situated at the top of Tiger Mountain, this is the view from the swimming pool overlooking the Annapurna Range. And that, for the mountain enthusiasts, is the Fishtail mountain there. I can't remember its true name, sorry about that. But say it's an absolute beautiful accommodation, lovely rooms. Some overlook the hills, some overlook the forest. Exceptional staff, they look after you extremely well, and there are a number of activities that one can do here, whether it's fishing or local bird watching walks, or simply, as I say, just relaxing on the deck and enjoying the wonderful views of the mountains and also the birds that come with that, and mainly vultures. So if you're into your birds of prey, this is a place to go. So you'll be seeing vultures and other large birds of prey all day as they use these mountains to thermal up and drift south towards where you are situated. Now, the lodge is owned by Marcus Cotton, and if you're into your butterflies, Marcus is the leading butterfly expert in Nepal. So if you want a butterfly information on anything, then this is also another place to go. And here's just one of the birds that one can see here. This is the Himalayan black lord tit. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it for me. Norbu will be up and running shortly with you. If you do require any more information on Nepal, please do contact me, matt@naturetrek.co.uk, or phone in the office and I'll be there ready to talk to you. But please remember, we have tours going out in March for the bird watching and the tiger tour, and we also have the Annapurna Trek in May. And I do hope we can welcome you on one of these tours in the near future.